Right, let's just jump straight into this explainer by addressing the multi-billion-dollar elephant in the room. Why exactly are so many enterprise AI initiatives just falling completely flat? We're looking at a landscape right now where organizations are pouring literally immense resources into artificial intelligence, machine learning, and these massive data platforms. Yet there is a huge, gaping hole between the investment being made and the actual returns being realized. So today we're going to unpack exactly why that is, leaning on some really brilliant insights from a white paper by John Kashat about how raw data is, well, absolutely not the same thing as business context. You know, it's a paradox that's super frustrating for C-suite execs and data scientists alike, but the hidden culprit here might actually surprise you. See, when these massive projects fail to launch or just don't deliver the value promised, our immediate knee-jerk instinct is to blame the tech. We think, oh, the model isn't advanced enough, or we don't have enough computing power, or maybe we just need more data. But what if the problem isn't technical at all? What if we're basically just speaking the completely wrong language to these incredibly powerful systems?
Here's the absolute crucial point. Throwing massive mountains of raw data at an AI model is simply not going to work if that data lacks organizational meaning. Imagine giving a supercomputer a library of books written in a language it can scan incredibly fast, but it can't actually comprehend a single word. That is essentially what we're doing when we feed an AI our enterprise data warehouses without giving it any real guidance. Raw data just describes what a system recorded. It absolutely does not explain what your organization actually means.
Moving into our first section, data versus business context.
When we start confusing the technical structure of our databases with the reality of our day-to-day operations, well, that is exactly where AI value goes to die. There is a stark contrast here. To an AI, raw database schemas, table names, foreign key relationships, cryptic identifiers like REV-AJG Q3SUSD, they're just strings of characters. They're just numbers. But what the business actually needs the AI to know is finance's highly specific definition of revenue. It needs to know how your legal hierarchies roll up, which time zone logic applies, and crucially, who is actually allowed to see that data. Without that real-world business context, the raw data is really just noise.
So, what happens without this context? Well, you get these incredibly painful failure modes, where AI outputs are technically correct but completely wrong for operations. Have you ever seen your highly paid business analysts spending more time acting as expensive AI therapists, basically explaining your company's weird data quirks to a tool rather than actually getting insights from it? It's kind of like arguing with a very confident but very stubborn intern. Or worse, the AI hallucinates a completely wrong customer segment because it just doesn't know your specific business rules. It might even surface highly confidential regional data to an unauthorized user simply because the raw schema didn't explicitly lay out the access context. This is what happens when semantic layers are missing, or when they just go stale.
All right, Section 2, the solution, the IPE framework.
To actually fix this, the source material points us to John Kashat's Integrated Process Excellence Framework, or IPE for short. And this isn't just some abstract theory. It's a highly actionable, six-step architecture. It systematically builds out that contextual layer that AI systems desperately need to give you real value. It starts with creating a positive environment for knowledge sharing. Then, we define, document, and communicate the process to bridge the gap between a cold database and the organization's true intent. Finally, we measure, control, and continuously improve. And that last part is key. It ensures that as your fast-moving business evolves, your AI's understanding evolves right along with it.
That brings us to Section 3, translating data into meaning.
But how do we literally map the messy real world into a machine? How do we translate raw data fields into something an AI can dynamically understand? The secret sauce here is the KIV-KPV-KOV causal architecture. Yeah, it's a bit of an acronym soup, I know. But it stands for key input variables, key process variables, and key output variables. This structure tells the AI not just what a data field contains, but why it exists in the first place. It essentially creates a cause and effect map that literally gives the AI a functioning brain for your specific operations.
Think about a single raw database field, like Q3 adjusted revenue. That adjusted revenue isn't just a number floating in a vacuum. It's an outcome. It's a KOV. And it is actively driven by inputs, pricing decisions, discount policies, which are your KIVs. It's then modified by specific process conditions, like approval workflows or currency conversion timing. Those are your KPVs. When you feed this entire causal pipeline to the AI, boom, it suddenly understands the living, breathing business reality behind the spreadsheet.
IPE then organizes all this causal mapping into a really strict three-level process hierarchy.
Think of this as taking all that undocumented tribal knowledge locked away inside your best employees' heads and converting it into a highly structured, queryable map for your AI. It starts broad at level 0, capturing an entire area like revenue recognition. Then it narrows down to level 1, which is a specific activity like Q3 adjustments. And finally, level 2 gets super granular, outlining the exact mathematical formula or governance rule. Now the AI can navigate your company's logic flawlessly.
Section 4, SMEA, which is all about governing AI output.
Defining the context is honestly only half the battle. Keeping it accurate over time is vital, because if your AI is confidently using outdated context, you are in for a world of trouble. We have to shift our mindset from traditional risk models to SME. You might be familiar with FMEA, failure mode and effects analysis, which is a classic engineering concept all about identifying what can break in a system. Well, SME flips that entirely on its head. Success mode and effects analysis is forward-looking. It demands we ask what specific definitions, permissions, and conditions absolutely must go right, and what governance structures must be active for us to genuinely trust the answer this AI is about to give us.
Let's bring this all together in Section 5, Achieving True AI ROI.
To see the real impact of this context layer, imagine a massive manufacturing enterprise deploying a brand new generative AI assistant. Before IP, an AI encountering a complex enterprise data warehouse with no explanatory metadata is just going to hallucinate and fail the business. In this manufacturing example, this blind AI might pull the completely wrong calculation for Q3 revenue. It might define an active customer based on some obscure system flag that hasn't been updated in a year and a half. And worst of all, it might serve up highly sensitive regional data to an employee with zero clearance to see it. The AI is working incredibly hard, but it's working completely blind.
Now flip the script. With IPE deployed as that vital context layer, the exact same AI assistant produces outputs that are operationally spot on, properly governed, and entirely trustworthy. Because of the KIV-KPV-KOV architecture, it grabs the exact right revenue fields. Because of the element-level documentation, it perfectly matches finance's legal structure without having to guess. It naturally respects access governance. And through continuous improvement, it flags stale definitions long before they ever end up in a board report. The technology didn't change at all. The context did.
Which brings us to the ultimate thesis of our explainer today. Raw data alone is a dead end. Process is the mandatory bridge to actual returns. Remember this, a schema describes structure, but business context provides meaning. AI desperately needs both. If you only provide the raw data, you are literally starving your multi-million-dollar investment of the exact context it needs to generate real intelligence. You have to feed the system your process.
So I want to leave you with a provocative question to really chew on regarding your own data initiatives. Are you feeding your models raw schemas, just crossing your fingers and hoping they'll somehow guess how your business operates? Or are you actively delivering true integrated process excellence, giving your AI the blueprint it actually needs to revolutionize your organization? Take a hard look at your current AI projects and ask yourself, do they really know what you mean?